Good morning, Year 3, and welcome to our maths for this week. Now, today's lesson there isn't a white rose maths video, so if you listen along to this video and then pause when I tell you to pause, just like on the white rose video. Okay, now this week, for the whole week actually, we're going to be thinking about multiplying a 2-digit number by a 1-digit number. So things like 23 times 2 or 41 times 4. Okay, so each day we're going to be building on our skills and practicing multiplying 2 digits by 1-digit numbers each day. Okay, here we go then. So as usual, there's the tough 10 and a little bit of practice of that multiplying multiples of 10 from last week. Okay? So work through the tough 10 and complete that activity there. See if you can come up with a number story for one of the questions. Fantastic. And then a little bit of times table practice. So today we are going to do some counting forwards and then backwards in fours. Brilliant. Now, I've put a multiplication grid just to help you if you need it, to help you with the times tables, okay? But remember, keep practicing those, and you might like to log on to Times Table Rockstars or hit the button to help you as well. Brilliant. Now, today we're going to be thinking about partitioning a number into tens and ones to help us to multiply. So I've got my question here, 2 times 23. Calculate, remember, just means work out. So 2 times 23. So that would look like 2 tens and 3 tens in 23. And then we've got it twice because we're multiplying it by 2. So there's 2 groups of 23 there. Now, to help me, I'm going to partition. Sorry, that would give me 46, wouldn't it? So to help me, I'm going to show you a way that we can do that mentally in our heads, okay? So I'm going to partition 23 into tens and ones, okay? So how many tens are there in 23? So there's 2 tens, which would give me 20, and there's 3 ones, which is 3, okay? Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to multiply my single digit, which is 2, times my tens, which is 20. So I'm going to do 2 times 20, which gives me 40. Now remember from last week, we've got to use the fact we know to help us with that. So we know that 2 times 2 is 4, and we know that 20 is 10 times bigger than 2. So we are going to multiply our answer by 10. So 2 times 2 is 4, so 2 times 20 is 40. Once I've done that, I'm going to multiply my 2 by the 3 ones in 23 to give me 6. Okay, then to get my final answer, I must do 40 add 6, which equals 46. Okay, so I add my 2 answers together. So what we need to remember is that first we multiply the single digit by the tens, and then we multiply the single digit by the ones, okay? And then finally we add them together. Okay, let's look at another example. So now we're calculating, we're working out 3 times 31. So here we've got 3 groups of 31. Okay, now I'm going to partition 31 to help me. So I'm going to think, how many tens are there in 31? That's right, there's 3 tens and there's 1 1. So it looks like 30 and 1. Now, what I'm going to do, first of all, is I'm going to multiply my single digit, which is 3, by the tens first of all. So I've got 3 times 30 gives me 90. Okay, now I can work that out by doing 3 times 3, which is 9, and multiplying that answer by 10. Because remember, 30 is 10 times bigger than 3. Okay, and then next I'm going to do 3 times 1. So I'm multiplying my single digit by my ones. Okay, so 3 times 1 we know is 3. And then finally, I've got to add the two numbers together. So 90 add 3 gives me 93. So remember, we multiply the single digit 3 by the tens, 30, and then the single digit 3 by the ones, 1. Okay, and then we add them together. Brilliant. Now, next example, we've got 22 times 4. So we've got 4 groups of 22. Okay, so I'm going to partition 22. What would that look like? Pause the video and have a think. Brilliant. So you should have partitioned that into 20 and 2. Then we've got to multiply the single digit in the question, which is 4, times multiplied by the tens. So that would be 4 times 20. Now remember, to do that, I do 4 times 2 to get 8, and then I multiply the 8 by 10 because 20 is 10 times bigger than 2, isn't it? Okay, brilliant. Then I multiply my single digit 4 by 2, my ones, to give me 8. What's my final step? That's right. I add the two numbers together. So 80 add 8 gives me 88, my final answer. Okay, so we've got another question now. 33 times 3. Okay, so we've got the number 33. Okay, and we can partition that into 30. So 3 tens and 3 ones. Okay. Now remember what we've got to do. We've got to multiply the single digit 3 by the tens, 30, and then the single digit 3 by the 3 ones and add them together. So what I want you to do now is pause the video and have a go yourself. Have a go at working out that answer. How did you do? So what we should have done was the single digit 3 multiplied by the 10, so 3 times 30 or 30 times 3. Remember, we can swap them around. So I would have done 3 times 3 in my head, which is 90, and I know 3 times 3 is 9, and then I know that I multiply my 9 by 10 to give me 90. Brilliant. Our next step then was to do 3 times the 3 ones to give me 9. Oh, I'm sorry about that mistake there. It should definitely be 3 times 3 equals 9, shouldn't it there? Okay, then finally I add the two amounts that I've got together. So 90 add 9. Okay, again, sorry for that mistake. It should definitely be 3 times 3 equals 9, not 3 times 33 equals 9. Brilliant. Okay, now there's a whole question for you to have a go at. So 23 times 3. So I want you to pause the video. How are you going to do that using partitioning? Brilliant. How did you get on? So we should have partitioned the 23 into 20 and 3 because it's got 2 tens and it's got 3 ones. Then we should have multiplied the single digit in the question 3 by the tens, 20. So 3 times 20 gives me 60. Now remember, I know that 3 multiplied by 2 is 6, so I must multiply that 6 by 10 because 20 is 10 times bigger than 2. Then my next step should have been the single digit 3 multiplied by the 3 ones to give me 9. Okay, and finally we add them together. So 60 add 9 gives me 69. Okay, fantastic. Now you might like to pause the video here and rewind if there's any bits that you want to recap. Okay, super. Now, just want to talk you through a little challenge, and you're going to be doing a similar one when you come to your tasks in a minute, okay? So here we've got a question. Tara works out 43 times 2. She says the answer is 8 plus 6 equals 14. She is wrong. How do you know? Okay. Now, remember the steps that we have to go through to work out the answer. I want you to pause the video. Can you spot what mistake Tara has made? What did you think? Could you work out what she'd done wrong? Well, let's work through the question together and see if we can spot it. So, first of all, like we've been doing, I'm going to partition 43 into tens and ones. So I've got 4 tens, 40, and I've got 3 ones. Okay, then I know that I multiply the single digit by the tens. So I do 2 times 40, which is 80. So I do 2 times 4 to get 8, then times my answer by 10, because I know that 40 is 10 times bigger than 4. Okay, are you beginning to spot what she may have done wrong here? Then we do the single digit 2 by the ones 3 to get 6. Okay, and then we add the two amounts together. So 80 add 6 is 86. Now, if you look carefully at Tara's working out, she's got the 6 right, hasn't she? But she hasn't got the 8 right. I can see what she's done here. She hasn't recognised that 43 is 4 tens and 3 ones. She's multiplied 2 ones and 4 ones instead of doing 2 ones and 4 tens, hasn't she? Okay. And also, if we look at her answer of 14, we know that that can't possibly be right for the answer to 43 times 2, okay? Because the answer is smaller, okay? So we know that she's made a mistake there by multiplying 2 ones and 4 ones instead of 2 ones and 4 tens, okay? So that's really important to remember. Brilliant. Now, for your task today then, you've got 5 questions to answer first of all using the method. So as I've said, if you need to rewind and go through that again, please do so. Okay, so remember partitioning your 2-digit number and then multiplying each part by the 4 here, or the 2, or the 2, or the 3. Okay? Brilliant. Remember as well, if you need to write anything down, if you need to write down the steps that you're doing, that's absolutely fine, okay? Anything you need to write down to help you, that's fine, okay? Then your challenges, okay? We've got Sam works out 14 times 2. He says the answer is 2 plus 8 equals 10. He is wrong. How do you know? So that's a bit like the question we just looked at with Tara. Okay, so I want you to see if you can think about the mistakes that Sam has done. You might like to solve it yourself first and then work backwards and see what Sam has done. Okay, and then final challenge today, it says match each multiplication statement with the correct addition. So what I want you to do is solve each question, so partition the 2-digit number and do the multiplication steps. And then see what additions you come out with, okay, and match them up, okay, brilliant. So, as usual, the answers are all on the slides for you to work through and mark your work, okay. Now, I hope you found that lesson okay. If you need any help with anything, if anything's confusing you, please ask your parents when it's convenient for them to send me a message and I can send through anything to help you or answer any questions, okay? Well done, Year 3. You are superstars.